Hello and welcome to the all new 15 Red podcast with original host Scott McCarter and me, Kellie Barker, two fans that just want to talk about the wonderful sport of snooker.
It's very good to be back. You will have noticed that I have a new co-host this afternoon. Well, it may not be the afternoon in the part of the world you're listening to us or watching us from, but it's very good to be back. I'm, of course, based here in County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, and I understand you're in London, Kelly. Is that right?
Yes, South London. Day off work today, so it's good to get on here and get this podcast going, and hopefully some kind souls will take the time to listen.
Uh, yes, indeed. Well, we're going to get straight down to business. The pleasantries are sort of out of the way. Well, most of you will know who we are anyway from previous iterations, but so we're going to start with actually my local tournament, the Northern Ireland. And we're just going to summarise it. We're not going to go through every result. We'll be here all day, but we'll just summarise. And I think you wanted to particularly talk about Tyron Kelly, did you? Who was the winner, of course.
Yes, I mean I've been so impressed with him this season so far. He's playing really well now, and the way he took Judd apart, really. I mean, I'm a great fan of Judd. Love to see him doing well, but he took Judd apart in that final, 9-3 the win. And after he beat Judd in the Xi'an final as well. I just think that's a great rivalry in the making, and I'd love to see them play the World Final, and I certainly think they'll play a few more finals this season if they both carry on the way they've been going.
Hmm. Pardon me. Yeah, I totally agree. And our great man we greatly admire, Dave Hendon, had a post on the Eurosport website, our listeners may have seen it, where he talks about the sort of rivalry between the two of them and how, it didn't always get off to the best of start for those two, did it? But I agree with you. He completely demolished Judd in the fight. Not great blitz of scoring, but just with sort of Higgins-esque match play, if you like. Because it's the
Absolutely.
highest standard of final, was it? It wasn't sort of lights
No,
out
I think,
centuries, I'm
I mean,
afraid.
it wasn't close or anything. But I think Kyron having that world title under his belt now is took the pressure off, and winning the event in China earlier in the season, I just think he's walking on air almost now, and I just think he's looking like a world champion. I think when the season started, we wondered what kind of season he might have, but the way he's playing at the moment, I wouldn't bet against him breaking that crucible curse. There's a long way to go yet, but he's playing as well as anybody.
Well, bit of an early shout there, but I can certainly agree with you on the evidence. But I think to treat Sheffield as a totally separate beast, I think. Form can tend to go out
Absolutely.
the window. So we'll not go down Crucible Curse quite yet, but but
No, so it's a little
but,
bit early.
but certainly certainly Sheehan and Northern Ireland, it's good because it's a rather unexpected world champion. I mean, he'd done nothing the season prior to winning in Sheffield, and therefore everybody, mostly, some people, not you or I, obviously, but some people thought, oh, it was an unexpected world championship. He didn't face many big opponents. Therefore, you know, is he really deserving of a world title? Well, he's proved this season that he totally was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I mean, because he'd never been such a regular winner even before winning the world title. I think he'd only once before won two ranking tournaments. But this season I don't know what he's been having for his breakfast, but it's certainly working.
Yes, you and I would both like it to have it for our breakfast. But I mean, look, Tyron's putting himself in terms of first season world champions. I mean, I mean, obviously the big standard is Hendry because he won five in 1991. And I'm talking to Hendry's biggest fan, so I'm sure you're aware of that. Uh, but, in terms of recent world champions, his numbers are actually very good. I mean, he's still in now Ching, which we'll get to in a moment. Uh, but also, I want to put this to you because when we were talking about putting this podcast together, we did wonder were the class of '92 in decline? Because you remember Kyron saying, we can't rely on them forever. Well, actually, the premier member has resurrected himself and has played absolutely marvellously the last 2 days. But we'll get on to the international now, probably. So you have the results from this morning, and then we'll go through some of the results from this afternoon, or some of the
Yes,
ongoing matches, I should say.
yes. Well, Ronnie played really well this morning to beat He Guo Kwang,
Yes,
um, who I rate really highly. I think he's got a big future in the game.
yes,
But Ronnie always looked like he was gonna come through. I think what did he win the first frame, but then Ronnie powered on a bit.
four in a
Um,
row. Yeah,
and he played so well, and he does. We as we know, he does like these China events.
yeah.
And I thought overall he played pretty well, and he did as much as he had to yesterday to beat Mink. So I think the
Mm.
tests will get tougher, but he's looking pretty good.
Now, the only thing I would say was he should have won five. He should have won 6-1 was it? Because, of course, Per managed to steal the frame after I think it was the fifth frame after a terrible
Yeah,
miss on the blue from O'Sullivan. I mean,
yeah, there was maybe a little lapse in concentration, but you know, it's rare that you could go through a whole best of 11 without making the odd mistake. And yeah, I think Ronnie's one to watch this week. He'll want to do well in one of these big China events, and who's to say it won't be this week?
well, especially because you've got the World Grand Prix in Hong Kong early in the new year. He's well enough placed for the 2 year rankings. I think he's more number five, is he, in the 2 year at the minute? So he's well enough placed
I'd
there.
have to look that up actually, but yeah,
Yes,
I'm sure he'll want to be in Hong Kong certainly.
yes, but of course you only get in there if you're in the top 32 on the 1 year list. Now I don't think he's dropped that far, but obviously not playing for three consecutive tournaments would have.
Yeah, I think with this month, certainly with this week and the UK Championship, I certainly think he'll cement his place if he hasn't already.
Yes. Um, and then we heard from Kyron or we saw Kyron this morning earlier, did we?
Yes, Kyron won this morning. Just going through the results. Um, he looks to be playing well again. He beat Lu Hong Yu 6-3.
Yeah.
I only
Dangerous
saw bits.
player, of course.
He's Lou is a good player as well. So that was
Yeah.
there are easier matches you could get if you were Kyron, but he's just in a zone at the moment and he's playing so well.
Yes. Now here's a question. From it's obviously it's extraordinary what he's doing in terms of getting to quarterfinals and finals and semis. But he's only actually won two this season. He only just won in Saudi Arabia and he won in Shanghai. So, which was very narrow. So, in terms of actual conversions, I know I'm nitpicking a wee bit. In terms of actual conversions, from maybe not quite as you would expect.
Well, I don't think he's been at his very best all the time, but he's be well, not even his B game, his A minus game is so on point these days. And
Yeah,
you know, to reach all these quarterfinals as he is doing, it's just phenomenal, really.
yeah,
The win in Saudi, it's not like he needs to do too much regards the rankings now. He's way ahead at number one.
yeah,
Um, and I'm sure more wins will come.
yeah,
I mean, to the Saudi and the Shanghai Masters, two very big events that he will have targeted at the start of the season, and he's done that.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, I've no real worries over Judd. Um, I just think he's between him and Kyron and Ronnie. If he really does get going, then
yeah,
they're the standout three, really.
yeah. And of course, very good to see Robbo back in sort of, because he won the English Open at Brentwood and then he's made 4 tons in 6 frames today. So,
I was gonna have to give him a mention. Yes, I thought it was great to see him win again. In the English, it was overdue, and he's still got so much to give at the top of the game. So it's
oh
good
yeah,
to see him back.
yeah,
But yes, as you say, this morning I was just checking on the results, and 6-0 over Fang Jianyi, which is no mean feat in itself. But
yeah,
4 centuries and a 90 yard.
yeah,
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 he could be flying this week, so maybe keep an eye on him as well.
yeah, yeah. Here's a here's a question. You know, I love a good stat. You know, you know me well enough to know I love a good stat. It'll be 50 years later this month since Henry's 7 centuries in the UK final against Doherty.
Oh, yes.
Here's a question. Will that ever be beaten in a best of 19? Because I think it will.
Somebody's going to have to play out of their boots to do it. But the scoring power of the certainly most of the top players these days. You why not? I think
Yeah,
it's certainly always possible that we see 4 or 5 centuries. So
yeah,
especially if in China, for example, I do think the pockets play a little more generously.
yeah.
Why not? It could even be this week. Who knows?
I know, I know. Of course, I read the international semis are actually best of 17.
Yes, which I think gives the event a little bit more oomph. It's nice to see the longer matches. To be
Yeah,
fair, I think it's great that we just see best of 11s all week from the start of this tournament.
yeah.
So
Because
yeah, that's good to see.
well,
And we'll enjoy the semis as well.
of
So yeah,
of course, yeah, of course. I was going to say you and I did have a little hint of a disagreement earlier in the week because I suggested when one of our fellow snooker pages, Lee Snooker, put up what one thing on the tour would you like to see change? I advocated for the abolition of best of sevens. And then I said that in order to do that, you would probably have to do an extra round of qualifying for the home nations, which you quite rightly pointed out sold us qualifiers for another round. But there's no danger of that here.
no, no, definitely not. It is nice to see the bit longer matches. I mean, best of 11 feels like a treat these days, doesn't it?
Yes,
But yes, I do think back in the old days, we never knew anything except best of nines for most tournaments. So
yeah,
when best of seven came in, it was a bit of like, what? Best of seven? You can't be doing that for a proper tournament. But
yeah,
now I think we're all so used to it.
yeah,
And like I say, I don't really, I mean, I watch the qualifiers. I never really miss any snooker, but I don't think making more qualifiers, or like those players who don't get out of the qualifying rounds, I think one round is enough, to be honest. I think this tiered what we're doing at the moment is probably just about right.
Yeah.
And then one round of qualifying to take 64 to China is absolutely good as well.
Yeah.
I think the tour's in a good place, and I'm
It is
enjoying.
very much so. Now, next we got the Champion of Champions, which is one of my favorite tournaments. I love the ITV4 tournaments. No disrespect to Eurosport, but the ITV4 tournaments are sort of my highlight of the season, Crucible accepted, of course, because it's just they they do it right on ITV4 for some reason.
Absolutely, they've got the
Oh,
perfect team. I think Jill Douglas has really grown into the role over the years. I enjoy listening to her, and
yeah,
I think snooker's blessed with some great presenters at the moment. I really enjoy when Rachel Casey does the presenting on
yeah,
Eurosport,
yeah.
and obviously Hazel is the queen,
Oh,
really.
yes, well, we'll call Her Majesty Queen Hazel next. But did you hear, by the way, that at the Scottish BAFTA, she's to get a Lifetime Achievement Award for services to Scottish television?
I did hear that, yes, and well deserved. I think she's been doing it for years and years and years over various sports. And when I watch other sports that she's covering, she always comes across as she's really done her research and knows what she's on about.
Yeah,
And at the Crucible, she's always got an almanac nearby, so she really does. She isn't there just to fill the seat. She really does know her snooker and what she's talking about.
yeah. By the way, could you declare a partial interest in the almanac? Uh,
Well, yes, I think there's some proofreading coming soon. I think because it's well on the way to getting finished, hopefully.
yes, yes. Tremendous resource put together by Chris Downer, of course. Uh, I want to ask you, well, first of all, who are you tipping for the international?
Um, on results so far, I haven't seen Judd play yet because he's played two of the very early sessions. Or did he just play? He played one this morning. He beat Sanderson Lamb 6-0. So I haven't
Oh,
actually seen him yet. I
no,
think you can't back against Joe. You can't back against the big boys really, and it's
no.
probably predictable. But after this morning, I'm gonna go for it and say Neil Robertson. I think he's hopefully will have a good week, and yeah,
Yes, I tend to agree with you. Like, I've got Mark Allen and Aaron Hill still on in the background here, so when we finish, I'll go and look the rest for that. But I would say that Neil, well, the tournaments come so quickly nowadays that you can't rest on your laurels of one good week for very long. You know, because
absolutely.
yes, he won the English, but eventually, that'll be sort of 4 or 5 weeks' time by the time you get to the UK. And if he doesn't back it up, his form could deteriorate again.
Well, I
But I
think
think,
he's sorry, Scott. I was going to say I think Neil
oh,
Robertson is still touch and go whether he gets a seeding for the UK Championship. So,
that's
but I'm sure
just,
a win or two this week will put him in good stead for that.
yeah, yes, that's just what I was going. Sorry, there's probably a bit of a delay on the Zoom line there. Um, That's just what I was going to say. I think if he don't win, he's seeded for York, but I don't think. Um, I think he's got to go pretty deep for him to for him for
I'm
him.
not sure exactly how far he's got to go, and I think Jack Jones is the main one who's in danger because he hasn't made it to Nanjing this week, and I think
Um,
he's in the last place, so I think he's in the most peril. But I think Neil Robertson, he's the one who can certainly do his own chances much good with a few wins here. Another
and
match I was watching yesterday, I don't know if you watched Mark Selby. um, beat Jamie Clark 6-4. It was really a really good match. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I saw
Clark,
the end of it, I think. It was hard fought at the end.
yeah, Clark was 4-2 up and playing pretty well. He was really giving Selby some lots to think about. But then Selby played really, really well himself, I thought, to come back and win 6-4. So he could be a dark horse if he can keep his form this week. And it was nice to see him actually win the British Open because
Tremendous,
it's
tremendous.
yeah.
Um, Here's one for you. Favorite, uh, I'll tell you my favorite international championship moment. A race book between Mark Allen and Ding Junhui went on for about 40 shots.
Wow. I thought I thought you were going to say your favourite moment would have been when Mark won this tournament a few years back,
Well, that
playing
was in
fantastic.
it was in the same year.
Yes, he played so well that year and
18th
14th
century.
century.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which was the same incidentally as John Higgins got when he won the world title for the first time in 98.
98. That's going back a bit,
So that's the
but
year I was born. I was in the womb when John won that world title.
wow, that was my first year at the Crucible actually. I wasn't at the final that year, but
Yeah.
I was there for about 8 days, I think, and I saw some of the semi-finals.
Yeah. Where he completely outplayed Ronnie, if I remember right.
He did. I think it was that year he went 8-0 up in the first session.
Yeah.
Won won the first session 8-0, I should say. And yeah, I mean, do you know what? I do believe I've got that some of that match on VHS upstairs. I haven't even got a video recorder anymore, but I do think I've still got some of that match on video.
Good grief. So, that's sort of like dip down memory lane, but you'll have to get used to that on this podcast. We're quite nostalgic about snooker, but snooker fans in general, I find, are quite nostalgic.
I think so. We appreciate what we've got now with the tour as it is today, and so accessible. Everything's
Yeah,
there to watch. But
yeah,
yeah, we do remember the good old days as well.
yeah, yeah. Um, and just final, well, I suppose just to finish off, just sort of map out where we're going as a podcast, just so that people know how they can access us and so on.
Well, I'm hoping that we're gonna get to do this at least once a week, Scott, and I think we'll be just uploaded to YouTube for now, but I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll both share it to our social media, and
yeah,
hopefully some fellow snooker fans will get involved and leave some comments. Please leave some comments if you listen and like what you hear, or any suggestions for improvements or things we can talk about in the future. Everyone's
yeah,
welcome.
yeah. And on the previous iteration of the podcast, I always had a little trivia question to give, and then I'll give the answer on the next one. And today's question is about the International Championship. Who was the first winner?
Who was the first winner?
Yes, of the International Championship in 2012. So that's for our listeners. I'll give the answer on the next one. And unless you've anything more to say, just give us a plain. Have you got the current scores there or anything? Can you?
I've got the current scores up to date right now. Mark Allen has just gone 4-2 up on Aaron Hill.
Yeah,
So he's looking better there.
yep.
Um, a mention actually for Jack Lazowski this morning. He came through 6-5 against Gong Chen Zi. He was
Yes.
five. He was 5-4 down when I went to do my food shop. And when the next time I looked, he'd won 6-5. There looked some good breaks in that match, so hopefully it was good quality. It would be nice to see Jack have a good run. But latest score, we've got Hossein Vafai has just beaten Dylan Emery 6-1. And Wu Yiza beat Andrew Higginson 6-3. And I think Higginson was at least 2-0 up in that one. So Wu's
three
been...
up on the stage, actually.
Sorry?
He was 3-2 up on the stage, according to Philip Studd, anyway.
Right. And Mark Williams had a walkover over Mark Davis, who didn't make it to the event. So, yeah, I think that's almost all up to date. And the only other latest score, a couple of latest scores, we've got Wansi Jun currently 4-3 up over Michael Holt. And Joe O'Connor, a little bit of a surprise. He's 5-1 up on Anthony McGill, who Joe doesn't seem to have done.
I've just heard Dave in the background say that McGill has lost 6-1, so O'Connor beaten him there.
Wow. So yeah, well done, Joe. We know he's got that form in the tank because he's shown some of it at the Crucible. But I thought McGill played pretty well in the last event when he lost narrowly to Kyron. So I'm a bit surprised with that one.
So am I. I mean, I'd say when we finish, I'll go over and obviously Dave will probably fill us in as the matches go on. But that is quite a shock.
Yes, and I'm just looking at the early session tomorrow. We've got Jack Lazowski against Vijay Wee. That'll be one to watch. I'll look forward to that one. Chris Wakelin against Sean Murphy. So, Matthew Stevens against John Higgins. That'll be one to savour as well. So, yeah, I'd say set your alarms early for the morning.
What timings in the United Kingdom, and then people can work out.
Yes, yeah, that's important to say. This is we're both in the UK, so we're going off our local time.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we'll be back next week, Scott, and we'll talk about who's won the international championship, and by the time we next speak, the Champion of Champions will be underway. So lots to look forward to.
Yes, I suppose we have to wait to see who wins the international to get the final draw for the Champion of Champions, but we'll keep you up to date. Well, no doubt.
Yes, definitely. Okay, Scott, are we done?
Yes, there's about 5 minutes to go, so we'll go off now before we're crashed off, because my Zoom runs out after 40 minutes, so...
Okie dokie. Well, yeah, I've just got the Mark Allen match on here, 4-2 up, early stages of the next frame. And looks like Ding's having an easier time of it on table one. He's 5-1 up on Martin O'Donnell and 20 odd points, 25 ahead in the next frame with just the colours on. So he's almost over the line there.
Yes. Yes, so I've just had my running out of time. So we'll sit there and we'll see you next week.
Okay then, Scott. Bye for now.
Bye.
And thank you anyone who's listened to us.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.